joke, I've been a money maker. I've been a record breaker, taking credit as an educator. I've been known to spit the flows and make it shaky, shaky thing. Popping, locking, stopping, let it hang. Watch us as we drop this hip hop, it's like a stain. We make the whole room drop and everybody sing. We want the funk. We gotta have that funk. We kick it old school, we think we're so cool. We take it back to the past, we gonna act a fool. Up jumps the middle finger, make my
Hello, 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 and welcome to Sports Buzz, the Fanatical View. I am your host, Scott D. Lewis, here in studio, Comcast Cable Channel 23, downtown Danbury, Connecticut. Sneaking in on a Wednesday night, August 5th. That's right, the calendar has turned once again. And we are not live, we are here taping on a Wednesday night, so the show will be airing, of course, in its usual Thursday evening slot, 6:30 to 7, but no phone lines open. We are here doing the tape show, getting in. We were off last week, but we are back. We were a little short-handed. My right-hand man, Mr. Bob Broad Jr., again, MIA, missing in action, off with the firefighters, looking to bring home some other trophy like they always do at these special events they go to. Could not make it to the studio, which means no Connor, production assistant extraordinaire, or Jenna in studio. So it's basically two mics and a buzz, I think is what we'll call this show. We got Mike Toohey, the director extraordinaire, and Mr. Mike McFadden in the hot seat. And the show's Sports Buzz. Two mics and a buzz. I mean, what do you... I just come up with this stuff. What can I tell you? So let's say hello to Mr. Mike McFadden.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. Probably not as good as you, Mike. Come on.
I know why you say that.
Let's just get right to it. The Mets.
Finally.
First place.
You see what happens? That's what happens when you spend some money. You actually get some players who are actually Major League Baseball players.
you try to put a Major League team out on the field?
It looks apparently.
You get Major League results.
Absolutely.
All right, before we get into all that, let's plug our shows that we work with. Spotlight On. Bob's not here, but his show goes on. Spotlight On, Tuesday nights at 9, Wednesdays at 12. Toohey, Mike Toohey, his show, Expose Cinema, Friday nights at 9, Wednesdays at 1. Also, no Strange Man. So no Strange Man stat of the week this week. It's just two mics and a buzz. We'll see what we can do for reals. That's what I say. All right, let's get back to this. So you must have been quite pleased. Well, first of all, what was your reaction when the rumor of the Carlos Gomez trade was going down? Oh, wait, that's right. Before we do that, let's take a look. This is where we were last week on vacation, and there he is, the cool kid Caden, at the beach, buried up to his head in sand and being thrown through the air into the ocean. One quick question as we see this photo. Why does Caden have a plastic spoon in his hand while I'm throwing him in the air in the ocean? Kids, I tell you. You can't explain them. But we had a good time. You remember Caden, of course, from Play for Purpose fame. Was here in studio a couple months back. Did a nice little interview with us. His mom as well on the phone. We will be doing a Play for Purpose wrap-up special at some point. But it was good to be on vacation with him and having a good time. All right, let's get to the sports. So Carlos Gomez, almost a Met, as they were looking to trade Zach Wheeler, which I didn't think would have been a great thing, and then that whole thing falls apart. So initially thinking, are you like, is it same old Mets? We got problems. Sandy Alderson can't get the deal done. What were you thinking there?
Actually, when the deal fell apart, I kind of felt the same way that you did. I wanted to hold on to Zach Wheeler and to give up Wheeler and Flores.
And Flores, right.
Exactly.
Who cried. No crying in baseball.
Exactly. And, you know, I thought, like, you know, I was hoping that the deal actually would fall through, and sure enough, it did. Right. Because Gomez, don't get me wrong, Gomez is a good player, but to give up both of those guys, I didn't think Gomez was worth both of those guys. Yeah,
Gomez has been a good player at times, and he's also a decent defensive player. But the guy they got was who we've been talking about the last couple of weeks. We just saw a couple pictures of him. Yoenis Cespedes, who, you know, Red Sox fans really enjoyed having for a short period of time last year. Wish they would have kept him. But this guy can hit for power, can hit RBIs, hit in the clutch. He's a gamer, outstanding defensive player, going to really help the team that is pitching strong. Absolutely. So if you can put good defense behind good pitching, that can only help. So they go out and get Cespedes, and all is right in the world as it leads to a sweep of the Nationals Oh my, the Nats, who the self-proclaimed, best team in baseball. Where's my rings? According to, their Bryce Harper down there when they signed some of their pitchers in the offseason. He said, "Where's the rings? Just give them to me now." Well, maybe they got some work to do because they are now looking up at the first place Mets. When was the last time the Mets were in first place this late in the year, Mike?
Wow, that's probably going back to, 2008?
2008, no doubt. It was. That's when it was. The last time they were in first place this late. They do have a one-game lead on the Nationals, thanks in large part to that sweep. 5 pitches, 3 home runs Sunday night. Exciting to say the least, as they vaulted their way past the Nationals in that game and into that sweep and into first place. And then they backed that up. A lot of times when you have an emotional, home series like that against a top rival, first place on the line, then you hit the road for a lesser team against Florida Marlins, you could see a letdown. Not so. They have taken the first 2 of the series in Miami, and they are looking to continue the winning ways. So I think that is actually a very good sign, especially because this team is still young. I mean, they got Cespedes, who's still a young guy. They did get some other veteran-type guys before the deadline as well. Third baseman Juan Uribe, good clubhouse guy. Left fielder Kelly Johnson. I like the pickup of pitcher Tyler Clippard as well to help that bullpen. So, they've done some good things here. Sandy Alderson finally maybe getting some room to spend money, or maybe these were just trades that were able to be made without much money being having to ship around. But either way, things are good. And how about this? That sweep in the Nationals. I mean, you got your young pitchers lined up, and all of a sudden you got a situation where it's Harvey, DeGrom, and Syndergaard lined up in no particular order, but the 3 of those guys going in that series against the Nationals. You got to like your chances when those guys are on the mound.
Without a doubt. And when you look at the fact that they're going to have Steven Matz coming back in a couple of weeks,
right?
That tell you that pitching rotation is loaded.
For reals, they're loaded for reals, and they got more guys coming. What's the deal with Jonathan Neese? I saw he was activated recently. Is he back pitching?
Yeah, Neese is back pitching, and as a matter of fact, he won the game last night, actually.
Oh, he did get the win last night.
And the good thing about that is now he's starting to pitch better, and it's probably because he's watching these younger pitchers who are, very mature, for their pitching age, and he's starting maybe picking up some pointers. He's pitching inside. It looks like a little more. So I think he's actually kind of rejuvenated because these guys are performing.
Well, and he's a decent pitcher. I mean, if he's healthy, he can pitch. It's solid,
absolutely.
Especially if you're slotting him back towards the 4th and 5th. And Colon had a good outing the other night, first game of the Florida Miami Marlins series, which was good to see because he hadn't had a win in a little while. We know he had the great start. But you guys got guys like Darno and Lagares, and then maybe David Wright coming back. Duda on fire, and Murphy playing well. Granderson, if you look at his overall numbers on the season, still not great. About 258, 17 homers. I don't think he's over 50 RBIs.
No.
But he is hitting some home runs in some clutch spots. And the lineup is balancing out now, up and down, where you got guys that are going to see pitches now because there's other guys in the lineup, that are going to, make it tough for you to pitch around a guy like Granderson, perhaps. So we'll see what happens with the Mets. They are playing really good. They need to try to finish off the sweep of the Marlins tonight, which would be big. They're in Tampa. They stay in Florida. This is what they got for the rest of August. At the Rays, they got a 4-game series against the Rockies, followed by 3 against the Pirates. They got a 2-game series against the Orioles. Interleague play this late in the year, and it's 2-game series. Somebody explain that to me?
Makes no sense.
Anybody? Hello?
No sense.
All right. And then they got at the Rockies and at the Phillies. They finished the month of August home against the Dead Sox. So that should be 3 easy wins for you guys, I would say.
We hope so. We hope they don't start looking past the schedule. The teams they're playing, because the Mets are famous for doing that. You can look past the
Dead Sox all you want. Team blah 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 with a bunch of Joe Schmoes. They stink. So you'll be able to get 3 wins to end the month of August. In the September, you got only one more series against the Nationals on the season. And it's early September. I had thought I heard somebody say that was going to be at the end of the year, but I looked at the schedule today. Early September, and then you also, speaking of interleague play, kind of interesting, although I don't like it because it is interleague play and it should not be going on year-round. Home against the Yankees, September 18th, 19th, and 20th. That will be a big series. There will be plenty of excitement because it's New York right now with baseball, both teams in first place. In the National League, we'll just keep talking about that for a minute here. The Nationals, we mentioned, right behind the Mets. So this is the other thing we've talked about before. The way to go for the Mets is the division, if you really look at their record
Absolutely.
and the records of the other teams. So although Met fans right now are giddy, it is only a one-game lead on the Nationals, who have great pitching as well. I think they got more problems than you guys have offensively. Yeah. So I think you do have the advantage at this point. But before you get ahead of yourself and start saying, we now expect the playoffs, there's more work to be done because it is only a one-game lead on the Nationals. And then if you look at the wild card situation, you guys 57-50. If you were to fall behind the Nationals, you would not be in the wild card. You would be behind Pittsburgh, 61-44. Cubs, who have swept you guys all season long, 58-47. So 1 in the win column, 3 in the loss column. Again, I keep seeing disparity in games played throughout the league, which is alarming when you're talking about four or five games sometimes with these teams this late in the year. And then also defending World Series champion San Francisco Giants at 58-48. So you would be behind those teams, 3 teams ahead of you right now in the wild card. So I still think the best way to go is the division for you guys because it's only one team you have to battle and you get to play against them. Those other teams, you know, you might not get to see them throughout the rest of the year, and they're ahead of you. Pittsburgh, I think, right now looks pretty good as a lock for the top wild card team, and it's going to be Cubs and Giants. I don't necessarily trust the Cubs yet, but they are playing, you know, decent baseball, and they certainly play good against you guys. And the Giants, we know, have the pedigree. They could catch the Dodgers. We'll see what happens with that. But they are, you know, ahead of you as well. So interesting stuff in the National League. American League, Yankees put the, you know, pounding on those Dead Sox last night. Henry Owens got his first career Major League start for the Red Sox last night, and he was not aided by any support defensively, offensively, and then the bullpen just imploded as he left in the 6th inning in a 2-2 game, and then the bullpen just blew up. 9-run 7th inning. How's that for not a bad performance in your bullpen? So they allow those evil Empire Bronx Bombers. I like to call them the Bronx Bummers, but when they score 90 runs in the last 10 games, maybe, just maybe, those Bronx Bombers are back. Maybe we do need to start recognizing that this team can hit. They've struggled throughout the year offensively, but they're on a pretty good tear right now. I think they're about 15 out of their last 20 in the win column. So they've moved ahead comfortably in the decrepit AL East. Toronto, a little bit of a hot team right now, but still only 4 games over 500 at 56-52. Yankees at 60-45. And there we see my guy, now I can't think of his name, help me out, who's in the studio there, the comedian Tracy Morgan. Thank you very much. Tracy Morgan, very nice seeing Tracy Morgan back at Yankee Stadium. First time we've seen him in public since that terrible car accident he had about a year or so ago. And let me tell you, at this point, I really wish 30 Rock was back on TV because I can't stand watching the Dead Sox. I'd be much happier watching Tracy Morgan and the jokes and 30 Rock, which was one of my favorite shows. I have not found a favorite show to replace that.
So let me ask you, so you think the Yankees have the division sewn up?
Of course they have the division sewn up. I mean, Toronto did make some moves. We'll get to some of the trades in a moment. But I mean, come on, they're 60-45, you know, 7 in the loss column. You know, I guess anything's possible. 5.5 game lead over Toronto. But I mean, do you trust Toronto to do anything really? I mean, when was the last time they were in the playoffs? The last time they were in the playoffs was when they won the World Series. Hello, that was 1992 for reals. Come on. They're not getting in. And, well, they might actually get in this year wild card wide because the rest of the American League isn't that great either. But the Orioles at 54 and 52, they're no threat at 6.5 game back. Tampa, 500 ball club, 54 and 54. I have a hard time putting any investment in a team that's 500 at this point in the year to get into the playoffs. Maybe in a bad American League you can get a wild card, but the division, when the Yankees have jumped out to 60-45, I joke about the fact that it takes, used to take 30 games over 500 and at times even more than that to win the AL East. Right now, they're sitting at 15 over, and that puts them 5.5 games up. I mean, the division is weak. There's nobody going in this division. Maybe with some of the moves Toronto made, they can make a little run, but I don't see the Yankees falling back. I mean, they're just going to keep playing and doing their thing. They don't have tough competition. Look at the rest of the American League. You got the Royals at the top at 63 and 42. They're sitting on a 9.5 game lead in their division. The Twins are falling apart at 54 and 52. The Twins right now are a wild card team, are fighting the Toronto. Toronto's 4 games over 500. The Twins are 2 games over 500. These are the two teams fighting for the final wild card spot. I mean, the American League as a whole right now is down. The Angels, we thought they were coming, and they've gone 2-8 in their last 10. So they're falling apart as Houston has moved back in front of them by 3 games. I believe they swept them this past weekend or last week, right?
Yep.
So they're 60 and 48. I'm happy to see the Astros back in first place. So it's Royals, Houston, and the Yankees, the only teams above 60 wins, more than double digits over 500 in all of the league. Everybody else is a measly 6, 4, 2 games over 500, if that. I mean, the Rangers, they're 500 as well. Everybody thought they made a trade for Cole Hamels, and that trade was more for next year. All of a sudden, they're going to find themselves in a position to go for a wild card this year. The Rangers might get back in it this year. So if they're 500, I guess Tampa Bay does have an outside chance because really at 54 and 54, they're only 2 behind Toronto. So maybe Tampa does get in there. And this is what makes what the Dead Sox are doing all the more alarming and infuriating, really. And there's that nice blue moon over Fenway Park, about the only good thing you could see this past week there in Boston. A beautiful sight right there because the play has been horrendous. For reals. What are they doing up there? Nothing. We were talking before the show started, Mike, what Boston is doing. And you were asking me if I think they should fire the manager. I think they should fire the manager, absolutely. I was saying to you that a team that gets swept regularly, rolls over and has 7-game losing streaks multiple times during the season is a team that is filled with quitters. And if they're a bunch of quitters, then they're a bunch of guys who have no fear of the manager. The manager is not lighting a fire underneath their bottom and letting them know, hey, if you lose game 1 of the series, there's still 2 more games to go. Step it up, boys. Let's get some action going here. They roll over time and time again. And as a longtime Red Sox fan, I know right away when I see what kind of team they had when they got swept early in the season by the Yankees at Fenway Park. I said, this is it. This is the type of team they're going to be, and this manager's leading the way, and he doesn't know what he's doing with the bullpen. The bullpen's an absolute joke. He mismanages it nightly, and he has no idea how to put a roster in order, where to bat guys, who to bat lead off, dropping guys, putting them here, putting them there. He's messed up the lineup all year long. Last year when they, got rid of Ellsbury, it was a big problem for him, and Victorino was hurt. He couldn't figure it out. The first sign of adversity, they fell apart then, went into the tank, last place. They're going to finish last place for the 3rd time in 4 years. So, it's nice that they got that World Series 2 years ago. It's nice that they've got 3 this century. That solves a lot of your problems. But, if you think you should just get a free pass because you've won and you're doing a lousy job, I don't think that's the case. I think that there could be a move made, and there probably should be a move. I mean, Larry Lucchino's jumped ship. He's out of there this week. He's had enough of this whole situation. So there's obviously moves being made. But it's just a disgrace what they're doing. And they got away. We talked about this a little bit, I think, before I went away on vacation, how they had, somehow miraculously got out from underneath the contracts of Carl Crawford and Adrian Gonzalez. And so what do? After winning the World Series with gritty, gutty players, they come back and they go and get Hanley Ramirez and Pablo Sandoval, big names, big contracts. Why are they doing that when they saw what could happen before? All right, Mike's getting to the trades. Maybe I should move along because I'm just getting furious with the Red Sox. But I do think the Yankees have the division wrapped up. I think they will definitely be playoff bound, one way or the other, wild card or not. But I do think they got this thing wrapped up tonight. Luis Severino, as you were mentioning, supposedly the next Pedro Martinez. Hold on a second. Pedro was just inducted to the Hall of Fame, and we're going to put this guy, as the next Pedro. Wait and see on that. Let's see what he does. And then, of course, I mentioned he'll probably shut down the Dead Sox tonight, and that would mean absolutely nothing because the Red Sox got Stephen Wright, the joke maker. Speaking of jokes and Tracy Morgan, they got a stand-up comedian who's about 60 years old on the mound tonight. Oh, wait, that's not him? It's an actual pitcher?
I think it is.
It's not the former comedian?
I think, the way, like you mentioned the way he's pitching, maybe it is the comedian.
He's a knuckleballer. Maybe he's got some jokes behind those knuckleballs. All right, so trades. Let's run through some of the trades. We only got about 7 minutes or so. Blue Jays, we mentioned, did make some trades. David Price traded again. What's going on with Price? He keeps getting traded. First from Tampa to Detroit. Then Detroit gives up on him, sends him to Toronto. They also got Tulowitzki from Colorado for your boy there, former boy, Jose Reyes. Shipped out of Toronto to Colorado. That was kind of surprising. We see right there, Dan Herron was traded from Miami to the Cubs. So the Cubs add an arm, a veteran pitcher. Pretty good move. Giants got another pitcher to shore up their rotation, Mike Leake. The Astros, who we mentioned, back in first place. They also got a pitcher, Scott Kazmir and Carlos Gomez, who did end up getting traded after the deal with the Mets fell through. Pirates also looking to make some moves. They went and got Joe Blanton, Joakim Soria, and Aramis Ramirez, a position player. So they got a little bat as well. So the Pirates are definitely looking to make moves and keep themselves in the playoff picture and get themselves back. They received Matt Latos. He ended up with the Dodgers. Bronson Arroyo was part of this deal as well, former Red Sox, one of my all-time favorites. We'll see if he can help the Dodgers. We know the top two guys in Kershaw and the other guy who just had his inning streak ended there. So they're adding some arms. Cole Hamels, we mentioned that trade to the Rangers. He's sent down there. And the Royals, the top team in the American League, they go and get Ben Zobrist and Johnny Cueto from the Reds. So they get a bat and a pitcher. And then the Nationals went and got Jonathan Papelbon, former Red Sox closer, owner of a World Series ring with them. That should help them out, actually, because they did have some issues. And they received the Red Sox trading away Shane Victorino to the Angels, who's been hurt mostly since they won the World Series with him a couple years ago. But he has been injured and out. We'll see if he can stay healthy and help the Angels. All right, so we got about 5 minutes left. This is the time of the show where we turn the page, and it's a blank page. Why? Because we move on to Deflategate. And really, what am I going to write down on my page about Deflategate and what is going on in the NFL with Roger Goodell, the worst commissioner in the history of commissioners in any sport, not just football, but baseball. And there's been bad commissioners. I mean, look, Gary Bettman is a hated man. Other guys around all the different leagues have been hated. Roger Goodell is a buffoon. We all know this. The guy is an idiot. He's mishandled every single situation that he's had, and yet he continues to be paid upwards of $40 million a year. For reals. I mean, seriously. Why is that? Should we dive deep into some conspiracy theory? Or should we just really look at, what possibly is going on here, Mike?
He won't be getting a Christmas card from the Patriots this year.
Well, I do believe, much like I was on vacation last week, he'll be on a permanent vacation at some point when the dust settles. There's no way this guy can continue to hold down this job after he botches every single situation he has. And all right, so let's get to some of the interesting sticking points on Deflategate. Everybody's up in arms about Tom Brady's cell phone and why he did not hand over that cell phone. Did he destroy his cell phone? Of course, he says that Roger Goodell has completely misrepresented the facts of this situation. He was told that he would not have to hand over that phone. He gave them all the information from the phone company that said, what text messages, what emails, whatever was related to the possible Deflategate situation. So he did hand over the information, he just did not give over his phone. Here's a question for you, Mike. When the NFL completely botched the handling of the Ray Rice situation, and it came to light that there was a video of that situation sent to their office, and that it was made aware to them that that video existed and it was in their possession, and they claimed they didn't have it. Basically, they lied and they botched that entire situation, and then they were placed under investigation. Did anybody in the NFL office have to hand over their cell phone?
Nope.
Personal cell phone?
No, they did not.
No, they did not. So why is Tom Brady facing different scrutiny? He gave all the digital information that was needed, pertaining to this situation. So that's one thing. All right, the other thing that I always find interesting in this whole situation, the science behind it, which has been completely disproven by scientists. The referees, gauge the footballs. They do not keep track of it. Nothing is written down. The balls go out into the field of play. They lose air naturally. It's been proven by science. All right, so the Colts, crybabies. The Ravens, who ratted them out, crybabies. The Jets and all their fans, crybabies. They want to say that the Patriots are doing this. It's nonsense. Their footballs were below maybe a tick here and there, depending on which ref ruled that. How about the Colts footballs? 3 out of the 4 were also below the proper PSI. Why is that continuing to not be reported in this whole thing? They have no evidence whatsoever. Meanwhile, Roger Goodell gets up and says, Brady destroyed his cell phone. He didn't give his cell phone. That's the smoking gun. I'm upholding the 4-game suspension. Hats off to Tom Brady for saying, I will not go down that road. I will not accept this. We are going to court. We are fighting this tooth and nail all the way. I did absolutely nothing wrong. The only thing that was done wrong here is they beat everybody year in and year out for the last 15 years, and the fans can't stand it and the players can't either. We will talk much more about this for reals as the whole thing develops, but we are out of time, so we will see you next week doing another tape show, I believe. Maybe Bob will be back, maybe not. Maybe he's giving up on us. Who knows? I don't know.
Work.